Well, Trump has decided to continue his ongoing pro-Putin campaign with a pretty gross speech at Mar-a-Lago. And he also continued criticism toward Joe Biden while posturing as someone who would somehow take a tougher stance on Vladimir Putin, which is hilarious. Now, he went on Laura Ingraham's show, and not only did he continue to spew some pro-Putin nonsense, he also made a fool out of himself by getting real confused about which country is invading which part of the world. Let's watch.
We're just learning that US officials are looking at a potential amphibious landing now in Odessa, Ukraine. Again, a month ago or 3 weeks ago, all the so-called experts were saying that Putin was probably going to just be content with staying in those separatist regions. But I think given what's unfolded, sadly, with a lot of weakness in the United States, they just decided to go for it. I mean, it looks like they're going for it. And where does that leave NATO, the NATO alliance?
I think you're exactly right. I think that's what happened. He was going to be satisfied with a peace, and now he sees the weakness and the incompetence and the stupidity of this administration. And as an American, I'm angry about it and I'm saddened by it.
President Trump, we actually have, just hold on. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but we have, we're going to the Pentagon, I believe. Ukraine, okay. Sorry, Ukraine is speaking at the UN. Now we basically have the Ukrainian ambassador to the United Nations looking like a defeated man. Your final reaction?
Well, I think the whole thing, again, would have never happened. It shouldn't happen. And it's a very sad thing. But you know what's also very dangerous is you told me about the amphibious attack by Americans. You shouldn't be saying that because you and everybody else shouldn't know about it. They should do that secretly, not be doing that through the great Laura Ingraham. They should be doing that secretly. Nobody should know that, Laura. And
that was the Russian. Those are the Russian amphibious landing.
No, I thought you said that. I thought you said that we were sending people in.
Oh, no, okay. I did not. No. That would be news.
No, but he didn't think that Laura Ingraham said that the United States was doing that attack, because immediately after she announced the attack, Trump responded to it by pointing out how weak Biden is, and if it weren't for this incompetent administration, Russia wouldn't be doing this. So at some point in the middle of that segment, he either completely forgot about who did that attack or just decided to throw the truth out and move on with some other talking point. I don't know what that was, but
I know what it was.
But I think he just forgot. I think he literally responded to the Russian attack immediately after Laura Ingraham mentioned it, and then forgot that it was Russia that did the attack later in the segment.
It's called dementia, and so I don't know if it's what particular ailment that he has, mental ailment, but he clearly has one. And guys, your only other explanation, if you're a right winger, no, he didn't get, he's not a bumbling old fool. He didn't get confused. He thought that Laura Ingraham had said that it was the Americans who did an amphibious landing. Now, break that one down. You think the former president goes on a talk show and finds out there that the Americans are in an actual battle with Russian soldiers? That would be massive news. That wouldn't be a little news. That would be gigantic news. He doesn't even know that. He thinks like, oh yeah, I might have found out on Laura Ingraham's show. Like if I was on Laura Ingraham's show and she said the Americans have landed in Ukraine and are fighting the Russians, I'd be like, when the hell did that happen? That's insane. Oh my God, we're gonna go to World War III. That's a normal reaction. And I was never president. He was the president of the United States.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, American amphibious landing in Odessa. Yeah, that makes sense. What? No, okay, so your best excuse is, no, he's the dumbest man alive and doesn't realize that that would be a massive development in world news. Just doesn't even get it. Like, oh, maybe she just mentioned it in passing.
Yeah, I mean, and also it reveals how little Trump really cares about this very issue. Every single time he's talked about it, he's used it as an opportunity to point out that he believes the election was stolen from him in 2020, and this is the ramification of him not being in charge. In every single interview I've seen on this matter, that is what he does. He immediately pivots to, the election was stolen from me, and this is what you get when I'm not in charge.
But by the way, look, so on a normal
all the other details are irrelevant to him. Like,
yeah,
he doesn't care.
But guys, if you've had loved ones that go through this, and I feel terrible for almost anyone but Trump going through this, because he's got 40% of the country following him when he's lost his mind. What people going through this kind of mental decline go through is a lot of different symptoms. And one of them is constantly going back and talking about the same thing over and over and over again. And being obsessed with themselves, telling stories about themselves over and over again. I mean, Trump already was a nuclear level narcissist. But when you've got the mental decline, sometimes people get further detached from others and get into their own world. And so that's what Trump does in every interview. Like, okay, now back to me, we're gonna have World War III. He thinks, not us, but he thought in the middle of that interview, Russia and America might be in a hot war where they're firing against one another, which endangers the entire planet. And he thought, back to me. And about how I was a victim here. Well, we're talking about Ukraine. The election, the rigged election.
It's always about him.
Yeah, that was another part of the interview. And it's now gotten so embarrassing. Did you notice why we kept that part in the clip? Laura Ingraham went to something else. They went to a Ukrainian diplomat talking while the former president was on the line.
Yeah, I know, that is pretty breathtaking.
Yeah, because they're like, it's clown Trump.
Yeah,
he's calling to cry again. Yeah. He's not gonna talk about this issue. Our audience likes him. But hey, you know what? Diplomat XYZ, the undersecretary is talking. Let's go to him because this guy's a national embarrassment.
It's totally true. In fact, look, we obviously, because of time, we had to shorten the video and we cut out the diplomat portion of it. But when I was choosing the time codes for that video, I was like, we should include some portion of this guy's speech. But it wasn't good.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that relevant.
It wasn't really. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, they cut away from Trump to go to this guy. It's a little weird, and they stayed on him for a while.
For a long time, it wasn't like, hey, they went for 30 seconds, came right back. It was almost like they were trying to run the clock out on Trump, get him to get off the phone. And by the way, she couldn't do it. And then he comes back and he's like, I can't believe the Americans have gone ambidextrous against the Russians, okay? And at the end, she laughs at him. She's like, no, that would be big news. Oh my God, get him off. Get the senile old fool off. Now, we would never think of people in that terms, but she's a right winger. She probably does. She probably thinks, he's got dementia. We hate him now. Move on. Go back to the Ukrainian undersecretary of the undersecretary.
Right.
Okay. We got to get the former president off the line because he's so deeply embarrassing for the right. And last thing is, guys, if Biden made that mistake, what do you think the entire right wing would say? Dementia.
And they do.
Right? They say it all the time. So when Trump says it, they're like, no, I follow him only. He's my beloved hero. He doesn't even know what planet we're on or which country is attacking which, but I love him. Well, okay, that says a lot about you, doesn't it?
Well, we do have a pretty amazing story on the show today involving a new poll. This is Republican voters. They were asked, who do you prefer, Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis? And Trump is losing his credibility among Republican voters. So
that is in some polls, and that last one was in Florida, but it is indicative. The decline, unfortunately, did not begin with any of his idiocy or his actual dementia or whatever that is, or any of his horrible, horrible statements. They love that stuff. The decline in his polling began when he said he took the vaccine. Let's be honest about that. And now DeSantis is surging, and in a poll in Florida, beating Trump. So now Trump is flailing even more, apparently furious about DeSantis, furious about everything, especially about the 2020 election.
Right.
And I think even Republicans, even diehard Trump supporters are starting to get a little tired of the endless crying.
I mean, who wants that? Who looks at a man who cries incessantly about being a massive loser and thinks, I want that guy to be my leader? It's pathetic. I mean, I want to believe that Republican voters have some standards.
Yeah, remember the thing they're most obsessed about is appearing strong.
Right.
Not actually being strong, but appearing strong. Right. And so when Trump looked strong, they loved him, but now he looks weak. And in the beginning, they thought he was a martyr,
right?
But now they're just starting to see him as a victim. And remember, most of them still think the election was stolen, but even so, How long are you going to cry? And that is why now Trump is slipping.